Thelma, did you have a good weekend? All right.
In a high school with more than 1,000 students, Fargo Police and Fargo South School Resource Officer Chris Potter knows many of them by name.
Hey, Jessa.
His job is to protect students, and that responsibility carries beyond the school walls, particularly when students are exposed to alcohol.
Youth alcohol abuse is without a doubt the #1 public safety concern that we have with our kids. It's a fact that 6 times as many kids are killed through alcohol-related accidents as all other drugs that are abused.
To help in the fight against underage drinking, Officer Potter has spent years building up relationships with these students.
If we can connect with the kids, if we can build trust with them so that they know that they can talk to us anonymously, they're willing to tell us what's really going on inside their social groups. One example of this is the text-to-tip program. We have several tips come in weekly regarding youth alcohol abuse, parties that are going on, parents that are out of town. The kids want to tell us that information, but there's a social stigma of being identified as a snitch, as a narc. So how do we get past that? We need to build those levels of trust.
Hey, thanks. See, I get a Rolo every day from Brianne. She treats me really well.
And he becomes an informal counselor for those willing to ask for help. Elizabeth Greenwood is one of those students. She had moved to Fargo a few years ago and soon started drinking. Within months, she had become a heavy drinker. One night, she was beyond intoxication, even non-receptive. At that point, she knew she needed help.
I was at a really bad place. I had just moved up here. I didn't really know anyone, and I really missed my family, and kind of just dealing with the whole situation of depression. So I kind of did it because I felt like it upped me, but really, when you think about it, it was bringing me more down.
She went to Prairie St. John's Hospital in Fargo for treatment, addiction counseling, and therapy. But she also joined bike club at school with Officer Potter.
I'd have to say Officer Potter's and my relationship is on a good level.
That's a sentiment shared by many students.
I think he is a really good influence. All of the students seem to be really comfortable with him. He's, an authority figure, but not such an authoritarian.
How you doing? Did you have a good weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
But Officer Potter is quick to point out that he and other law enforcement are just part of the solution. He says it's a problem with society.
When do we reach the cultural tipping point? When do we finally say we need to emphasize to kids there are other ways to have fun, to enjoy being with friends, that every social event does not have to be alcohol related. We are not going to legislate or enforce our way out of this problem. It's got to start at home, and it's got to start with educating parents.
And until that cultural tipping point, Officer Potter will continue to roam the hallways, reaching out to teenagers to protect them while they're still under his watch. For Prairie Public and High Risk High Youth Drinking in North Dakota, I'm Candace Thornburg.